Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Today we're reading Esther chapter 3. I just got out of the shower. Hair's looking a bit wet, but we're going to dig right into it. We left off after the king made Esther his new queen. And Mordecai, Esther's cousin, has Esther's cousin. Wait, let me check something real quick. Yeah, Mordecai, who's Esther's cousin, found out that there was an assassination attempt on King Xerxes and let him know. So the king has been saved from the assassination attempt. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Chapter 3. Sometime later, King Xerxes promoted Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, over all the other nobles, making him the most powerful official in the empire. All the king's officials would bow down before Haman to show him respect whenever he passed by, for so the king had commanded. So Haman is a new big deal. He's a big character in the story, all right? So pay attention. So the big characters we need to think about are King Xerxes, Esther, Mordecai, who's Esther's cousin, and Haman, who is a very powerful man in the king's palace. But there's something very interesting we're about to learn about Haman. So anyway, Haman's super powerful. Everyone bows down to him. But Mordecai, Esther's cousin, refused to bow down or show him respect. Then the palace officials at the king's gate asked Mordecai, "Why are you disobeying the king's command?" They spoke to him day after day, but he still refused to comply with the order. He does not want to bow down to Haman. So they spoke to Haman about this to see if he would tolerate Mordecai's conduct, since Mordecai had told them he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai would not bow down or show him respect, he was filled with rage. He had learned of Mordecai's nationality, so he decided it was not enough to lay hands on Mordecai alone. Instead, he looked for a way to destroy all the Jews throughout the empire of Xerxes. So he's like, it's not far enough to just get rid of Mordecai. He wants to get rid of every single Jew in all of the empire. So in the month of April, during the 12th year of King Xerxes' reign, lots were cast in Haman's presence. The lots were called Purim, to determine the best day and month to take action. And the day selected was March 7th, nearly a year later. Then Haman approached King Xerxes and said, "There is a certain race of people scattered through all the provinces of your empire who keep themselves separate from everyone else. Their laws are different from those of any other people, and they refuse to obey the laws of the king. So it is not in the king's interest to let them live. If it please the king, issue a decree that they be destroyed, and I will give 10,000 large sacks of silver to the government administrators to be deposited in the royal treasury." Okay. So Haman is pitching this idea to King Xerxes, basically saying, the Jews, certain race of people, they don't mess with you, and they do not want to bow down to you. They don't want to follow your rules. They're following their own rules, and we can't have that. And he's like, so what if we just destroy them? What if we get rid of them? And I will give, wow. And he's bribing him. He's saying he will give 10,000 large sacks of silver. Dang. And it's interesting, a little text box at the bottom saying that Haman never actually tells King Xerxes that he's talking about Jewish people. He's just saying, like, these people aren't following your rules. Because maybe if he said, like, if he just came out and said, let's destroy all the Jews, King Xerxes is like, whoa. Like, I don't know about all that. But because he's being like, hey, man, I just want to let you know there's a certain group of people that aren't following your rules. And he doesn't ever say that they're Jews. So the king is more open to the idea. The king agreed, confirming his decision by removing his signet ring from his finger and giving it to Haman, the enemy of the Jews. It's kind of a crazy title. Reminds me of another historical figure that I think was called that. The king said, "The money and the people are both yours to do with as you see fit." So on April 17th, the king's secretaries were summoned, and a decree was written exactly as Haman dictated. It was sent to the king's highest officers, the governors of the respective provinces, and the nobles of each province in their own scripts and languages. So he's sending out the decree again. This happened before, whenever they sent out the decree that, all women should follow their husbands and never disagree with them, basically. The decree was written in the name of King Xerxes and sealed with the king's signet ring. Dispatches were sent by swift messengers into all the provinces of the empire, giving the order that all Jews, young and old, including women and children, must be killed, slaughtered, and annihilated on a single day. Holy crap, those are some crazy words. Annihilated. Slaughtered. Dang. This was scheduled to happen on March 7th of the next year. The property of the Jews would be given to those who killed them. Oh my gosh. Wow, that's crazy, bro. So if you kill a Jew, you get their house. Holy crap. That'd be terrifying because you would think like, well, not everyone wants to murder, so not everyone would be down for this, but like people do crazy stuff for land and houses and items and properties. So, dang, dude, that's actually depressing. A copy of this decree was to be issued as law in every province and proclaimed to all people so that they would be ready to do their duty on the appointed day. At the king's command, the decree went out by swift messengers, and it was also proclaimed in the fortress of Susa. Then the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Susa fell into confusion. So this is crazy. They're going to kill all the Jews because King Xerxes is giving this decree. But the interesting thing that we're probably going to talk about in the next couple chapters, if you recall, Esther, the queen, is secretly Jewish. So that's no good. That's no good because King Xerxes wants to kill all the Jews and his very own queen is Jewish. So we're just going to have to find out what happens, guys. We're going to have to find out what happens to the Jews in Esther and King Xerxes and Mordecai and Haman. This is a modern day soap opera. Actually, that doesn't make any sense. It's not modern day at all. And it's also not really like a soap opera. So I've never watched a soap opera. So I don't know. That's probably the worst comparison I could have made. I got a mole removed yesterday right here. It's kind of, was it bleeding through? I don't know. It hurts a little bit. All right, guys. Esther 4 tomorrow. Be there, be square. All right. See you guys.